Do you fear death and dying? Why is that? And how does the human consciousness and ego hold us back from expressing our true selves? Let's talk about that now. Automass photo. Hi everyone. We're going to be discussing the fear of death and the human ego. How many of us have a fear of death? I'm sure many of us do. We all die. Death comes for us all at one point or another. When and how we die, however, is not defined. Death of the physical body and anything in this physical existence is inevitable. Our physical body ceases to exist due to cell death at an old age, health-related concerns such as cancer, organ failure, health-related problems, even death from our own actions, not just suicide, but also consequences we pay due to ingesting toxins into our body, making poor choices, risk-taking, and even living in a low vibrational state, often as a result of low self-worth and image. Life and death are things that affect every single one of us, and are all things we think about. We ponder the meaning of life, why we are here on this earth in this universe, and what our purpose is. Religion tends to be an answer for some people to determine the kind of life we should live and what happens when we die. A popular example is heaven and hell. If we live our lives committing sins and we do not repent and ask for forgiveness, we will go to hell. This can be rules people live by, but in the end, we are human beings, and we not only make mistakes, but we are selfish, manipulative, and do all sorts of things that we know we shouldn't do. Why do we fear death? We only fear death because it would be a total loss of our ego. Everything we know in this world being all but an illusion and a reflection of our consciousness or ego. With this world we make for ourselves, the death of it appears scary. Change in the unknown is scary since when our physical body dies, we are no longer able to consciously, in this physical form, analyze what is happening. When our body dies, we lose all control and function of this physical form. There are a number of reasons we may fear death besides just the unknown. We may fear death because we will leave behind loved ones who will be saddened to see us go. Another being that we were not able to fully make the most out of our lives here. And furthermore, the fear of getting old and having health concerns, changes in our appearance, and lack of confidence caused by our changing body as we feel unattractive. I'm sure we've all heard the saying, life is short. Life is short. And depending on what we do with our lives, we can make it even shorter or even extend it. While many of us may have had fun when we were younger, as we age, we realize more important things in life, and we may even regret our youth where we experimented with things that perhaps caused us chronic health conditions or have shortened our lives. Whatever the case, the total acceptance of our life we have made for ourselves will allow us to prosper despite any physical, mental, or other health problems that have surfaced from our own actions in the past, as well as getting older. While it is important to take care of this physical body, we must also realize that it's not possible to keep it alive forever. It doesn't matter how much healthy foods and supplements we put into our bodies at the proper ratio, and avoid things such as drugs and alcohol, synthetic chemicals and medications, toxins, and so on, as well as employ proper exercises and do all the right things by our body. It's impossible to keep this body alive forever. Even with all these things, we may not live a long life. Someone who routinely does drugs, takes addicting medications, and even eats unhealthy foods and doesn't exercise could outlive someone who is the total opposite with their diet and lifestyle. So what happens when we die? I'm sure we've all heard that when we die, that we head towards the light. When we head towards this light and go past a specific threshold, our spirit essentially leaves our body, in which we cannot re-enter it. Our physical body and brain shut down and cease to exist. However, similar stories are told by people who have had near-death experiences and even out-of-body experiences. Death of the physical body is less of a physical experience as it is the release of our consciousness to source energy, which is a method of transmitting the information we have gathered in our physical form to this collective source. These experiences we have here help this unified energy gain a better understanding of this physical world. But transmitting this data along this way of our journey can be key to living in a more harmonious way. Through specific forms of spiritual practices and awakenings, opening a channel to receive this source energy and information, as well as to transmit your own experiences, we can be more connected with this non-physical aspect of ourselves. The ego is a sense of self, our consciousness, what makes us who we are in this physical world. The ego and human consciousness is a way for the source energy that resides within us, our source of existence, to experience an alternate perspective of different ways of thinking, different upbringings, different nationalities, different religions, different disabilities, including physical and mental, different experiences in life, all while being in a physical, tangible body. This body we reside in, we can do as we please with. However, with a physical body comes responsibilities to maintain the health of this vessel we reside in. The ego, or the human brain and consciousness, are a form of entrapment to keep us in this physical dimension. We may become bound in this physical existence due to our ego and satisfying our ego and physical body. These things include physical desires, addictions, and anything that is of this physical world that distracts us long enough from our purpose here. But since we are in this physical world, we must also understand this world that we live in and how it operates. We are here to experience both the physical and spiritual aspects of ourselves and the world. Let's use an example. Our ego may put others down, but all we are essentially doing is putting their other person's ego down, which in turn could boost ours. The other person's ego can do as they please with the threat, but it's just an ego reaction. This all creates a false sense of self. The ego, in the sense of the human consciousness, is a barrier that binds us in this physical world. We feed the ego with physical pleasures, words of encouragement to get our hopes up, and so on. This feeding of the ego can lead to one having an inflated ego, a view of oneself being superior to other egos. This trick we play on our ego is nothing more than an illusion of the mind. While we can learn to reason with our ego to a degree, it's part of us in this physical form and we cannot get rid of it. We can only be ourselves and not change the fundamentals of who we are. Our brain and consciousness reside here to experience the perspective we have set for ourselves since the beginning. We make our reality. So in conclusion, many of us have a fear of death due to the unknown and the death of our physical existence. It is our ego, our consciousness, that tends to fear death. But death comes to all of us, and the only thing we can do is live our lives in a state of non-resistance, making the most of each moment that we reside in, and embracing death when it comes. I hope this information was informative and helpful to you. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching my video. If you would like more content, please feel free to subscribe.